Hi there, welcome back. Do you know there's so much stuff in the WWE universe that you could probably put something in every single letter of the alphabet about it. And that is exactly what we are doing. My name is Tom Campbell, and this is the letter B on the A to Z of WWE. Where do we start with B? Well, it's the Big Show! From 1996, Paul White was turning heads. He turned up in WCW, 7 foot, strong as an ox, built like a monster, immediately went straight to the top, feuding with Hulk Hogan and becoming the WCW champion in record time. He spent several years working for World Championship Wrestling before he was enticed over by a multi-million-dollar deal from Vince McMahon and the WWF. He made his World Wrestling Federation debut in grand style at St. Valentine's Day Massacre, and he did so by throwing Stone Cold Steve Austin through a steel cage. Literally through it. It was incredible. Steve Austin won the match as a result of that, but let's not focus too much on that. Big Show's career in the WWF has been a bit stop-start, to be very polite. He's had some highs, multiple times WWE champion, multiple times World Heavyweight champion. He's had some lows, that feud with the Boss Man in '99 and that time in ECW in 2006 where he could barely move. Right now, Big Show is in the best shape of his career. He is celebrating this by semi-retiring from professional wrestling. But he is such a big character. His options outside of wrestling are great. In fact, as we speak, they are currently producing a Netflix show just for the Big Show called The Big Show Show. It's about a man from a family and the crazy actions and shenanigans he gets up to. Big Show will steal it. He'll be great in it, I promise you. Another big bright B in the WWE is Bob Backlund. Born in 1949, the Princeton, Minnesota, clean-shaven super athlete would become the WWF champion for 2,000 consecutive days after he defeated Bruno Sammartino. A 2,000-day title reign. Just cannot be fathomed in this day and age. He lost the belt in 1983 to the Iron Sheik. This would be part of a series of events that would lead to the dawn of Hulkamania. So Bob Backlund, a major part of wrestling history. He would pop up in the WWF on and off over the next couple of decades, appearing to win the WWF Championship for an entire day in 1994. And he would turn up in 2017 and start a campaign to make Darren Young great again. Put your hand between your friend's legs. Have you done that? Put your other hand on their head, twist them, drop them on their back. Have you done that? Congratulations, you have just completed this B in the A to Z of the WWE, the Body Slam, one of the most tried and tested wrestling moves, not just in WWE, but across the multi-year history of professional wrestling. In fact, most wrestling moves and some of the big signature finishes are really just variations of a Body Slam. You think about it, Power Slam, the Oklahoma Slam, even a Michinoku Driver is basically a kind of sort of Body Slam type thing. People like Braun Strowman are keeping the Body Slam alive with their version of the running Power Slam, but of course, the most famous Body Slam in the history of wrestling was at WrestleMania 3, as 83,000 people in the Silverdome watched Hulk Hogan Body Slam Andre the Giant. Both the height and the weight of Andre the Giant, plus the amount of people who watched said slam, does change every time you ask Hulk Hogan about it. Seriously, try it. It's a good party trick. How about some gimmick match action? B is for Boiler Room Brawl. Mankind made his debut in the WWF in 1996 and brought with him a peculiar contest that happened away from the wrestling ring. The first one happened at SummerSlam in 1996 and saw The Undertaker challenged by Mankind to a Boiler Room Brawl. The rules of which are, you and your opponent head to the bowels of the venue, the catacombs, wherein the heat is drawn, the boiler room basically. You fight your way around and through the boiler room. The first person to get out of the boiler room is the winner of the Boiler Room Brawl. The Undertaker and Mankind set a new precedence for violence when they did it at SummerSlam in 1996. We would see the Boiler Room Brawl brought back several times after this, including one where Mankind took on Triple H on an episode of SmackDown, and where Mankind faced The Big Show in one at Backlash. On all of these occasions, by the way, Mankind has come close to nearly killing himself. The next B is kind of like wrestling admin, but roll with me on this. B is for brand extension. When WWF bought WCW in 2001 and absorbed their roster, they found themselves with just too many people. This bloated WWF roster was divided into two in a history-making episode of Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania 18, in which all of the guys and girls from the shows were put onto either Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. This serves three purposes for WWE. One, it means that guys who are lost in the shuffle of a bigger roster can get some exposure for themselves. It also gives WWE two touring brands, so they can have a Raw show on one side of the country and a SmackDown show on the other, making some extra pennies. And also, it gives them their own competition. It means that you can have shows like Survivor Series, which pits the Raw brand versus the SmackDown brand. This is something that still happens to this very day, but it all kicked off in 2002 with the first ever brand extension. Incidentally, the first superstars to ever be drafted was Rock to SmackDown and The Undertaker to Monday Night Raw. We pay homage to the man now, as B is for Becky Lynch. From river dancing in 2014 to headlining WrestleMania in 2019, nobody has had a half decade quite like Becky Lynch. The last kicker from Dublin, Ireland had an attitude adjustment in 2018 that saw her go from lovable goofball to absolute badass. A move that changed the game, not just for the man Becky Lynch, but for women's wrestling everywhere. Undeniable fan support took Limerick's favourite daughter to the main event of WrestleMania, as for the very first time in history, the Women's Championship match closed out the show, and we saw Becky Lynch defeat Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey to raise both the Raw and the SmackDown Women's Championships. Becky two belts born on that night. Since then, Becky Lynch has continued to be a headliner in WWE, a star attraction that has genuinely changed the shape of wrestling. And I don't know whether you've heard, but she's getting married to Seth Rollins. They keep that really quiet on the telly. You might not have heard about that, but apparently they're a thing. Another big name under the letter B is Bruno Sammartino. With a barrel chest and a chin you could crack nuts with, Bruno Sammartino was the first real superstar of the then WWF. As the company out of New York was getting bigger, this guy was front and center. He defeated Buddy Rogers for the championship in 48 seconds. He proceeded to hold the belt for 11 years. Nobody came near Bruno Sammartino's popularity. Sadly, his time in WWF was marred when he fell out with the company over the direction that they were going in. He wasn't a big fan of the whole rock and wrestling movement, and in 1988, he parted with the company. Many years later, he would, thankfully, come back and things would be tied up, neatened up, to the point where Bruno Sammartino would take his rightful place in the WWE Hall of Fame. We go from legendary fighter Bruno Sammartino to a series of legendary fights for the wrong reasons. B is for Brawl for All. In 1998, WWF wanted to try something a little bit different. A shoot fight tournament with real matches and real punches to determine a Brawl for All champion. This was a plot device to put Dan Severn into a position to challenge Stone Cold Steve Austin for the WWF title, apparently. Dan the Beast Severn, a former NWA champion, a UFC monster as well, seemed to be the shoe-in to win this. However, here's the problem, it was a shoot tournament, and then Bart Gunn won the whole thing. So it scuppered the entire premise of the tournament completely. The only other time we would see a Brawl for All match was at WrestleMania 15, when Bart Gunn, the winner of that tournament, was knocked out by Butterbean in less than a minute. Maybe in WWF we stick to, planning what we're gonna do rather than actually fighting. Something slightly safer now, as B is for Battle Royal. 30 in the ring at the same time. You got to throw your opponents over the top rope, making sure both of their feet hit the floor. Last one in the ring is the winner. Andre the Giant was the undisputed king of the Battle Royal. He was 7 foot odd. You weren't going to hoy him over the top rope. This is why we have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at WrestleMania every year, paying homage to the absolute king of the Battle Royal. It was Pat Patterson one fateful afternoon in 1987 where he said, what if we had a Battle Royal, but instead of everybody being in the ring at once, they went to the ring in 2-minute intervals, giving birth to what you and I now call the Royal Rumble. And finally, B is for Lawrence Rotunda, or as we know him, Bray Wyatt, the man who told us in 2012 to Bray and the Wyatt family quickly became a highlight of WWE television. Spooky entrances as they walked down to the ring with the lanterns, the fireflies surrounding the ring as well. Bray Wyatt seemed like a could not miss. Bray Wyatt would have some high-profile matches at WrestleMania against guys like John Cena and The Undertaker. He would even have a short run as WWE champion before he disappeared in 2018. He returned a year later as the twisted Mr. Rogers-esque Bray Wyatt, and he would give birth to one of the darkest characters of the modern era, The Fiend. That'll do it for B. Hope you can join us next time. All you gotta do is let me in. Bye! Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. You can support us on Patreon by going to patreon.com/Cultaholic. Lastly, don't forget to hit subscribe and join us.